Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Zach. That's my van Gerty right behind me that I live in. Inside the van whom I live with is my dog Winter. She is a white dog and she is a brat, but she's a wonderful companion and she loves to adventure with me as well. I honestly think this is probably one of the best lives a dog can have. So before I get too sidetracked, this video is supposed to be about one thing and one thing only, and that's going to be this bumper. This bumper is asked about all the time, and I want to do a series of videos about all the questions that I get so I can kind of answer the long questions in one spot. So this is going to be kind of a continuation of last week where I just kind of talked about the hot and the heat in a black van and how I keep cool and how I use shade to do that and which direction I park and whatnot. But this video, I'm just going to talk about this beautiful bumper up here made by Backwoods Adventure Mods. I had Adrenaline Vans in Montrose, Colorado put it on. Both companies are great. Backwoods makes a spectacular product and Adrenaline Vans has great service, and they did a great job of installing it and making it look good and getting everything working just the way it should. So let's dive right in. The reason I got a bumper is it was one of the three things that I decided that I needed to continue traveling on the van that would keep me on the road safer and with more utility out of the van. So those three things were suspension, better brakes, and a good front bumper. And included in the bumper was I wanted a winch and I wanted better lighting. I wanted good protection, and hopefully I wanted something that looked good. So I wanted to have one of the best looking one that met my criteria. So this one is by far the best looking bumper I saw for the Sprinters that was available in the US that I know of. I like the lighting package that it has. I like the way that it covers the winch. I like the way that it protects the front. I like all the different shapes of it. I think it's a great bumper. So it ticked all the boxes. It has great protection. So we'll take a look at it here. So it's got this big kind of stealth fighter style bull bar here. I'll cut in better videos of it. So it's got this cool bull bar here, and then right inside of it, it's got a 20-inch dual row light bar in it with really good lights. There's two pods. There's a pod right there, and there's a pod right there. So there's two pods on each side and then the light bar right in the middle, and that is a lot of light, which was my second criteria. I wanted to have good lighting in the bumper, or good lighting to install in the bumper, or good lighting that I can install on the bumper afterwards. This came with the bumper from Backwoods, and this is either their in-house brand or the one they choose to use, but it has really high quality lights and I really like it. So the lighting pattern, this middle one, my big light bar, I have that basically aimed straight down the road so that if there's any objects in the road, I can see them really clearly coming around corners and stuff. It really helps a lot to have that big beam right there. It's still only about the same height as my stock headlights, but it's aiming straight out and it's got a heck of a lot more light coming out of it. So with the pods, this outer one here, I have those ones aimed outward as far as they'll go, so away from the van to light the sides of the road. And then these bottom ones here, I have them aimed down and straight out. So the lighting pattern actually matches that of my headlights because they can't aim down far enough. They tend to hit right in the same spot, but the bleed over from just these two lights, even aimed down at the ground, so they're hitting probably 20 or 30 feet ahead of me. The bleed over is enough to actually almost overpower my high beams, so they are quite effective, just those lights there. And then I turn on the side ones on empty roads, of course, are the only times I use these bright lights because they're just too bright for anybody coming the other direction. So the pods on the outside light the outside of the road. This lights the middle all the way down. My headlights kind of fill in the area in between pretty good with the high beams on. And so this is a really great system, and I'm happy that I got the lights included, and I got one that integrates the lights so well because they go with the flow of the body. And then this bumper does a really good job of shielding them So from the side, the lights aren't really sticking out at all. They're just in their own little protected zone. So even though these lights are probably pretty good at taking hits, they're fairly well protected, so only the front is really risking anything. So we got looks and lighting. Protection is kind of obvious. It's got, and we were talking about the big bull bar, and then it's all metal all the way around to in front of my tires. And I think it actually opens up the area. So if you look from the front, you can see that my tire has really good access to rocks and the road and whatever it's driving over. I think they did a good job of designing that like that. There's my outer pod that's aimed outwards, and then my inner pod that's aimed forwards and down. And then of course my headlights right above that. So all that metal, and then it goes down pretty low too under the van. It protects everything underneath here that could break or could get hit with just rocks, like the intercoolers and the radiators and the power steering fluid cooler that's up there, the DEF tank, the DEF plumbing, all that stuff can get damaged. And if I can't get the DEF system working, then the van doesn't drive anywhere. So it's really important that I keep that protected. This thing is protection from, I think, at least deer. It'll protect me from smaller animals. It'll protect me from rocks. I've gotten hit by a lot of rocks. I've heard it make the clung noise when rocks are kicked off of semis and stuff. And I don't have a single dent in this thing. So the fit and finish is really good. We're gonna move on to the winch. The winch is awesome. If you want to know more about the winch, of course, look up videos that talk about winching. I am no expert on winches, so I'm just going to tell you it is an Evo VR 12S winch. So that means it's a 12,000 pound winch made by Warn. I have the synthetic rope on there, which just seems to have only good features, except I think it's $1,000 more than the wire. But the wire, I've been stabbed by wires and I really don't like that experience, so I'm not going to deal with that again. It has a wireless remote that can also plug into it, and I don't know how long the cable is or any of the details, but it can handle the van. I also have some other recovery equipment, like a universal anchor type system and a pulley that I can use to double the pulling power of this. So I have those things in place as well. I also have these huge shackles that I got from Adrenaline Vans. These things are beautiful. I really like how they came out. They have this kind of silvery graphite grayish color, and that is to match my calipers, and then they're black on the front, which just matches the rest of the van. So I really like these. I can't use them at the moment because there's actually a mount behind there that mounts to like a crossbar underneath the engine, and when I took that crossbar out, I was putting in my front end hitch, my front mount hitch. And unfortunately, when I put this bumper in, the hitch came out, but there was no replacement parts for those mounts. So I think I tossed the mounts. So I can't actually use the shackles yet. So I have to fix them, or fix that first, but it's like $1,000 worth of parts. So I'm kind of hesitating. I hope someday I come across those parts at a much reduced price, and then I can just put them on and then my shackles are useful. But for now, I have these beautiful shackles on here. They kind of complete the whole front end package, I think, and the van looks great with this whole package on it. So I got all of my factors. I got a winch, I got great lighting, and with the lighting aimed the way it is, I think that also lends itself to the design that I'm able to do something like that. So got the winch, got the lighting, got the good looks, and I got the protection all out of this bumper. And those are all the reasons I thought I really needed a bumper on the front. Before, I just had this plastic one. Insert video now so you can see it, but it just kind of covered the front. It's kind of that off gray brownish color. I just wasn't a big fan of that thing. So I was really happy to let it go and get this black one that overall kind of makes the look of the van. It is by far the most asked about thing on the van. People come up to me and say, man, that's a cool bumper, or that's a cool van, I like the bumper. Like, it's almost never not mentioned. They say it's burly and looks mean. I like it because it looks like a stealth fighter. and I think that's pretty cool. It's like a stealth fighter mixed with a Batmobile. I've gotten all sorts of comments about it, so I love the attention for it. It's a cool rig, and I think this bumper really kind of takes it home for me. So with all those factors checked off and the great looks and the black on black looks with the van, I think it's a really good product. Definitely check out Backwoods Adventure Mods for the actual details, like how much it is and how much it is to get installed. Talk to Adrenaline Vans for that if you want to get the same great service I got. So lastly, I wanted to mention to you what I like and don't like about the bumper. So what I like is basically everything, and what I don't like is basically nothing. But there are a couple concerns I have that I think would improve the overall package. And one for me is how this corner fits together. Let's go on the left side so you can actually see it. If you go over here, this corner has kind of like, there's a gap, I can fit my hand in there. So there's a curve to the body panel, but the bumper has a more straight angle. I think that's just because the cost and difficulty of welding to match that closely is not worth it. But what I think they could do to fix it is to use some sort of rubber material that they put around like doors that's weather resistant, and then just put it all along the top of the seam, and then between the bumper and the rest of the van underneath the headlights and stuff. And I think that would improve those looks. But this is just my opinion though. I gotta stress, because these guys are the experts. They make these things for all different kinds of vehicles. They do it all the time, so they know what they're doing better than I do. These are just my opinions based on my experience and what I think they could do to improve. There's one area, almost nowhere I got rust, which is why I'm not complaining, except at the end of these connection points. I think that's because they're steel and maybe the powder coat doesn't stick as well. But all I did is when the paint chipped off at the very leading edge of the front here, so a rock might have hit it just perfect. I just sprayed it off, but it did rust a tiny bit, but sanded, sprayed it. I honestly forgot that there was something there until I was looking at it today, and then I was like, wait a second, I think there was some rust there. And then the last thing is, in the winch kind of compartment here, the bottom is built as kind of a tray. And that tray, if water gets in there, it just holds it until it dries out just by evaporation. So that was kind of annoying, and I think it's because somehow maybe the way the winch is mounted is plugging all the holes in there. Maybe it's designed to do that and they just didn't think about it, but it'll plug the whole thing in there, and I'll get about that much water that'll sit until it dries out of there. And sometimes driving gets rid of some of it, but it doesn't really blow that hard in there because there's so much metal around it. So what I did is I drilled holes in either side around the winch so it can drain out at the bottom. So it just drains out in two little streams on either side of my bumper. Almost fell over there. And that has worked really good for me. Overall, definitely the best bumper on the market, and I highly recommend it. So with that, the sun is set behind these beautiful mountains. So I'm gonna share with you a time lapse to close out this video. After my outro, there'll be a beautiful time lapse of this storm system coming over here. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen my stories talking about that storm system. I used to be a weather forecaster in the Navy, so I know a little bit about weather. I did 3 years of forecasting and 3 years of observing before that, and then a total of about a year total of just weather schooling. So not college with all the other stuff, but just school about weather in a 9 to 5 format. So lots of weather schooling and knowledge and experience. So I like to kind of share that when I can. So after my outro video, I'm going to share with you that beautiful time lapse. But I want to thank you for watching the video. Subscribe if you want to see what comes next. Like if you got something out of this video. Stick around if you want to catch some more. And I'll see you down the road.
If you feel it, just dance along, dance along, dance along. Yeah. If you feel it, just dance along. Got to keep the feeling going on.